Hey everyone, Mark Joe Szymanski back again with another video here. So I bought a helium miner. If you've been following me on Instagram or Twitter, you probably know that already. And I've had it for about 9 days. So I wanted to go over the process of how I found out about helium mining, the whole, the wait period, just some little tips and tricks and things that I've found so far just in the 9 days of owning it, setup, things like that. And then also how much I've made so far and the costs associated with it. So if you're interested in any of that, stick around. We're going to dive right into it. Okay, so there's nowhere better to start with this story than from the beginning. So way back in April of this year, 2021, I was really into crypto as the bull market was heating up and everything like that. And I heard from a lot of people in that sphere, people that I know from crypto Twitter and just other people like that, about HNT, Helium. So if you go to CoinMarketCap or any place that you can see, you know, the stats on different coins and stuff like that. If you scroll down, I think right now, as of August 19th, 2021, it's around 60. So you can see number 60 here, ranking Helium HNT. It's $20.22 right now. We'll click in here. And again, this is just, you know, a cryptocurrency, a coin here. And I'm not going to pretend that I understand every sort of aspect of Helium or any cryptocurrency for that matter. I've just been dabbling in it for, you know, about a half a year to a year here. But the use case for this is interesting. It centers around IoT, or the Internet of Things. And basically, you know, it's a coin, and you can see the chart here, you know, make your own technical analysis or whatever you want to do. But this is interesting because back in the day, and even now, obviously, you hear people talking about Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining, all that sort of stuff. And from my experience, you have to go out and you have to physically build a rig to mine that sort of thing, you know, right? There's been like GPU shortages or, you know, price gouging and all that sort of stuff. When I heard that you could mine helium by just buying a helium miner for a certain amount of money, and you don't need to do anything crazy like build your own custom thing or whatever, and it actually works on like radio wave signals via the antenna and stuff like that, I was pretty intrigued, because that sounded like a passive way to earn some helium tokens, passive, you know, income. And I just thought it was a great idea. So when I heard about that initially, I was intrigued, and that's kind of like the general explanation of the coin there. You can dig into that deeper, because that's just basically as far as I've gone. But then I was interested in like, okay, what is Helium? Kind of like, what's the project? What's the network? Things like that. So you could pop over to helium.com, which is their official website. Links and everything will be in the description. That'll be important later too for the miner piece, because there are like fakes like running around and rampant like that. But with helium.com here, you can see all sorts of stuff. You can see like mining, staking, the use of the network, HNT, the token, 5G. You can play around on here. Pretty cool website from somebody that builds websites. I can definitely appreciate a good one when I see it. But the point of coming here is that there's more information. You can kind of see what they're trying to do. It's, from my explanation, everything that I've seen so far, they're trying to build like the people's network is what they're calling it. And it just seems like a big network of these helium miners that can power IoT devices is the main thing that I've seen. There's already use cases. Probably not many, because in most things in crypto, it seems like the adoption rate is, you know, kind of relatively slow. It's like, oh, this is really cool, and this is awesome, and want to invest in like the coin and buy the coin or whatever. But the actual use case, I mean, it's just a slow ramp up. So, but this has been very interesting. The reason it's been interesting is because this was the coolest thing that I've seen. If you get to this point and you're on helium.com and you're interested in potentially getting a miner, you come to this website because of like the allure of this helium miner craze, I would say, that's gone on in part of the community. You can click on the mine button and you'll come to this page. You'll mine crypto with radio. Like, that's the big you know, call to action. If you start to scroll down here, you'll see different like miners that are available on the market. So there's different companies that make these, and you know, they just manufacture a miner or whatever. So Nebra is one. I think that's Synchronbit. I'm not sure about that, but this is the one that I have here, this Bobcat, and that's the one that we'll be talking about. I can't speak to the other ones because actually at the time when I went to get this, this was a big thing. Like, everybody it was popping off, and people, I think it went from I'll show the map in a second, but I think it was around 18 or 20,000 of these in the world, and now it's up to over 130,000. So the point being there is that when I went to get these, a few of them were sold out. Based on the use case and different things like that, I heard there's a couple different ones that were really good at that time when I was watching other YouTubers' videos on which one to buy. I know that one of these Nebras, I'm assuming it's this one. This one looks pretty versatile. You can put it outside. So that's, again, there's many different ways to deal with. There's many different ways to do this. But I just got the Bobcat because it was the one that was available. It seemed like it was shipping the fastest, and it was just good. So, but if you go, the last thing I want to say about this mining page specifically, because this is important, is if you scroll down, you can see this browse compatible hotspots, and I think it's actually a little lower here too. This shows you, if you want to buy a miner, this is one way to get there. If you want to look at other miners, so again, Bobcat's the one that I have. Freedom Fi is an interesting one because it's going to be that 5G network that they've kind of been talking about on some things, and it's apparently on a wait list. So like this is definitely moving forward pretty rapidly. And like I said, a lot of them were out of stock when I was buying them because they just couldn't keep up with the production. So again, Nebra, like I said, this is their official list of things, and I'll have the link directly to buy the one that I have in the description if you want to check that one out specifically. But that is another thing on their website that I appreciate, that they just direct you where you need to go, because there are fake stuff out there that I've heard about. I was not a victim to it, but I know that there's fake Helium miner pages and stuff like that. So anyway, when you get to this point, I was like, okay, well, this all sounds interesting, but the real cool thing I would say for me was when I scrolled up to here and I said you can click View Network Map, and what that brings up is what's called the Helium Explorer. Now, this is a map of the world, obviously, and all these little green areas here are where helium miners actually are. It is a live network map of, like, my Bobcat, for instance, other people's Bobcats, their Nebras, whatever, and it shows like all the stats. Like this is just, to me, this is kind of like nerdy and cool, and I love seeing, like, you're literally part of the network if you have one, but even like you could just go to this, like, even if you didn't have one already. So I'm not going to go like super in depth here because there's a lot of info here, but just to kind of like graze the top, you can kind of see on the left here, it says how many hotspots there are. I mentioned that there was 18, I think there was 18,000, I think, when I ordered this, and you can see the 30-day trend. There's been almost 40,000 added in 30 days, and we're up to like 132,000. So it's definitely growing. People are thinking about this. It shows some other stats about like HNT, the coin and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. But those are the overview stats. I'm just going to zoom into some random place like in Missouri area here, and so you can get a better idea here. They've updated this recently because it was different when I saw it in April. But what they're doing here is each one of these little hex things is like a kilometer in like diameter or radius or whatever. Like it's like a kilometer wide, and there's a science to this. I'm not an expert in this. Okay, it's just like you don't want to have like 40 miners like all in one thing. Like if you bought more than one, I've heard there's arguments of that. Maybe you should try to put like, spread them out so there's more, because they want coverage is what they want. Ideally, I guess they want the entire world to be covered in these little green hex things. Maybe that's the goal or whatever. But all I understand to this point is that we can drill down to like one of these, okay? And some of them will have like a number on them. Like if there are 2 in here, it'll say 2. Maybe I'll try to find one or whatever. But let's just zoom into this one, this random one in Missouri somewhere, okay? You can click on it, and let's say that like your miner was in this area. You can see it, and everybody can see it. It's anonymous. It's like a random name generated, glamorous alabaster gibbon, whatever. But the cool thing is that you can use this as a tool. There's another tool too called helium.place, which is like the best place to put your miner and stuff like that. I'll get into that a little bit more because from my experience, that's kind of a little overblown, just at least from what I've seen so far. But we'll get into that. The point is that I just think this tool is really cool. So you can come in here and you can see like whoever's miner this is. You can't see exactly where it's at, but you can see the general area. Then you can click in and see what their stats are. Now this person doesn't have any, so this is a terrible example. We'll have to click on something else. But you can see like if they earned money, you would be able to see it here. Let's see if we can find somebody else. This is a good example. We'll click on this one. Perfect. So there's a couple things going on here. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but this is pretty interesting. So you're on this one. What's it called here? High quartz aphid, whatever. And you can see the transmit scale, which is basically just how well it is. There's these little tooltip things too. That's not really the important part. You want that to be 1. Obviously, there's something going on there. It probably has something to do with it being relayed, which happened to my router or my miner, which I will talk about here in a second. But this is the big thing. Okay, when I was looking at this, I didn't know any of that sort of stuff. But this is the big thing right here, that if you're looking at this as an investment, like a passive income, and you're like, oh wow, this is like, if you see it and you're like, this is an opportunity to make money, what should I do? Or should I get into it? What you kind of want to see, right, is just what other people maybe in your area, maybe like go to your area and look at other people around you. What are they getting? What are they expected getting? So let's say you lived in this area, right, near High Quartz Aphid here in Webster Groves, Missouri. If you came into here and you clicked on this and you saw earnings, you can change it from 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days. You can see like total witnesses and stuff, and that's just like the other hotspots that they're communicating with via these yellow lines. But the big thing is the money, I think, for most people. It was for me at first. I was like just trying to understand, like, what is this going to be worth it? Because we'll talk about how much, mine, for instance, I'll talk about it right now. I paid $500 for my miner. So I'm like, I'm not going to pay $500 if I'm not going to get the money back. So that was a big thing. So if you're doing this research and you're looking at places, hotspots in your area, what are they doing? So let's say you were here. In the last 24 hours, this miner has made about 50 cents, or I'm sorry, about actually 0.5 HNT tokens, which is about $10. That's important too, because you got to understand like the thing there. And it's important, I guess, to note here is that the amount that you make is in HNT, and the amount and the the valuation of HNT in dollars is always changing, right? Because it's a cryptocurrency. Right now it's 20, but tomorrow it could be 15, so that fluctuates there a little bit. Just something to keep in mind. But this is pretty cool because it shows you the percentage and how much up or down you are, like, in comparison for the time here. But then you can let's just push it out, right? 7, because you're not just going to turn it off after one day, right? Let's push it out to 7 days, 30 days. This person looks like theirs is relatively new because they didn't have anything here. Probably it's only a few days old. So like 7 days, over the last 7 days, this person's made 1.5 HNT or $37. And again, I don't even think that was the full 7 days. So let's see. Let's just do like one more example. See if we can get like another somebody that's been around for a while. So this person, this one here, this miner has made over the last 30 days, and again, doesn't look like it's even been the full 30 days. They made 11 HNT over $230 in 30 days. So the point that I'm trying to make is that in the current state of the network, if your thing is set up properly and is working, there's other factors too, like antennas and stuff like that I'll chat about here in a second, because I just wanted to give a general overview that has gone way more in depth than I wanted to, but I think this is important. You're gonna it looks like you're making a decent amount of money, right? This, in my perspective, I saw this and I was like, okay, people are making a good amount of money in like a 30-day interval, and if I could make anywhere near this, then I'll make my money back in 2 months, let's say, right? Based on the $500 value. So perfect. Excellent. There's your research. Like I said, links in the description, everything like that. But let's say that you were like me and you were at that spot and you say, okay, that makes sense. Numbers wise, kind of makes sense. Okay, what's the next step? How do I get one? What's the timeline? Stuff like that. So let's move into that portion of what we're chatting about now. So what I did was, like I said, talked about the Bobcat miner. The link will be in the description. It'll bring you to Bobcat miner site. You can check it out. There's not too much on this, but this is effectively what it looks like. And then you can go and you can purchase one. So Bobcat Miner 300, it's $429 USD. Also be careful here. If you're in North America or Europe, you want to make sure that you get the right one. The purchase process is a little weird. I think it has changed slightly since I did it, but I had to pay in USDC or Tether, I think you could do as well. But if you're familiar with crypto, it shouldn't be that hard. People were overblowing it. Like, it really wasn't that hard. It was just weird. You don't buy it with a credit card. I still don't think you can buy with credit card, but I think you can pay with like Coinbase or Binance, like it says here. So that's probably better. If you have any idea how to use crypto, you're probably going to be fine. If you don't, just there's definitely a video. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to buy another one right now, but it's not that bad. So just purchase it via this way, and you'll be good to go. But a couple notes on that. First of all, I want to reiterate here, there are fake websites. Like I know 100% people have gotten scammed, specifically on Bobcat. Make sure you go to the link in the description because it will take you directly to this one. That's the first thing. If you want to get the Bobcat, if you want to do the research, go ahead and check out the Helium site again. Second thing is that I purchased mine on April 28th, 2021, and I did not receive it until August 10th, 2021. So at that time, it said 8 to 10 weeks. And that was like a little bit over 3 months or right around 3 months. So it was definitely a little late on that. And like I said, it was 8 to 10 weeks. Now you can see down here, estimated shipping time is 12 to 20 weeks. So I'm making this video in August of 2021. If you bought it right now, you're probably not going to get it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months-ish. Do I think it'd still be worth it? Can't say exactly, but I would venture a guess to say, yeah, you'd at least probably make back $500 because like even if you just left it, on for however long, like I don't know, I can't. I'm not a psychic, so I can't really tell you if it'll definitely be worth it. But you just have to understand that, like, weigh your options. And this is just, the state of the union as far as this goes. It's going to take a while to get the Bobcat specifically. Haven't checked on the other ones, just know about the Bobcat. And I wanted to make sure that I added that in there, how long it took for me to get mine. So that's important to note. As far as when I actually did receive it, the setup was relatively easy. As far as like the actual hardware here, just have a quick little picture. I didn't have any footage from it, but it's extremely simple. You take it out of the box, you take the antenna and you screw it in just like a little coax thing. Very simple, right into there. You take and you don't even use this TF card or this COM port thing. I didn't use that at all. So you screw the antenna in, you plug in Ethernet. It also does Wi-Fi, but I would recommend Ethernet just because you're gonna need a stable internet connection just to do some certain things, to synchronize some stuff. I would just recommend Ethernet, but you can do Wi-Fi as well. And again, it has a beautiful app. You'll download the Helium app, it walks you straight through it. Honestly, again, it's pretty straightforward. And then you connect the little DC power thing, plug it into the wall, good. So, but this is important, like just as to understand the actual thing in itself. You've got an antenna, you've got an internet connection, and you've got power. That's it. It's also Bluetooth compatible to sync to your phone, in which you'll have to push a little push pin thing that they give you in here. But the point is that it's not, I want to reiterate again, it's not like a big mining rig that you would think of when you think of like Bitcoin mining. It is just a little thing. This is why it was attractive. This entire thing was attractive to me because it was simple and it looked like a decent way to get some passive income and just get some cool technical stuff. So the setup in and of itself, not difficult from the hardware perspective. Once you have that in there and you have the Helium app and you go through everything, it's going to have you set up a Helium wallet through the app, which is just where your mining rewards go to. It's not hard. Again, if you've done anything in crypto, you've probably made a wallet before. It has the 12 random generated words, your seed phrase. Don't ever show that to anybody. Obviously, you got to always say that. And it's easy. I haven't moved any money yet, but I know it's the exact same thing because you could just have a Helium wallet on that app without the Helium hotspot, and it works perfectly. So that works great. We'll talk about that in a little bit here as far as that goes. Just some important things that I want to chat about, and I'll throw it back over to the Helium or the Bobcat miner for a second. Some important notes that I want to talk about concerning the miner. Like I said, the setup is not difficult. Okay, the setup of like plugging the stuff in, setting up on the app, that's not difficult. When you go through the app though, and you're initially setting it up, in my opinion, from my experience, there was a couple things that weren't extremely well described, and I would like to. This is the big part of my experience that I had. So I got the Helium miner, and it was all setting up, and there's a place in the app where it says your progress or like the things that you've done. Actually, a better way to show this too is if we go back to here and we talk about like this random person's thing here, and there's like a checklist, and you'll have this checklist if you get a Helium miner and you see it there's a checklist of things that you go through, and really the Helium miner just does it automatically for you. But it's a little weird, and we'll talk about this here in a second. So this is like the whole setup thing. So there's a blockchain sync, hotspot status, create a challenge, witness a challenge, just get more witnesses, participate in a challenge, and transfer data. You really don't have to do anything manually other than just make sure it's connected to the internet for those things to work. But what I will say is that takes a long time. I got mine, like I said, on the 10th of August. I did not start earning until the 12th of August. So they say it takes 24 to 48 hours. It's pretty true. And you got to make sure that it's connected to the internet and a couple things there, which I will talk about in a second. I want to go back, though, for one moment and talk about when you're setting it up, it talks about a couple things like positioning, ideal positioning, kind of how you can see here on the map. I am not a genius with this. Like I said, I'll leave another link in the description. It's called helium.place. I looked at it, didn't really understand how to use it, but I know that it's for ideal placement and everything of where to put your hotspot. Because I don't really think that you should have, I don't think technically the network is supposed to have 4 Helium hotspots like in this little area here. I don't think that's the point of it. It's more of like coverage is what they're shooting for. But that being said, what I found was that when I got it, like I was thinking, like I was like having like anxiety of like, where can I position this? Because people say like put it near a window. Okay, this is the big one. People say like put it near a window so it can see, the antenna can reach, far into the sky and whatever. And it says that in the app. And I was like, okay, well, mine is right here on this dresser, right by this printer right here. If you can see in the bottom corner of my screen, and the nearest window is 12 feet that way. Okay. And I was like, I hope this doesn't suck because I can't put it over there, just based on the layout of the room. So I put it there and I was like, okay. And I'll also buy like the Ethernet switch and the outlet. So the point that I'm making is that from my experience, that really hasn't affected much. I think, and we'll get to the earnings in a little bit here, I think it's been fine. I don't think that it's really hindered it at all. That's the one thing. The other weird thing that I never heard anywhere else other than in the app is that it says that bug screens on Windows. So you have like a glass window, you open a window up and you'll have a bug screen. I have one of those on my window, like a metal mesh thing. It says that'll mess with radio frequencies. Maybe if it's like right up against it, maybe, but it's not like it. I don't know what my earnings should be necessarily because I don't have like a lot of data to go off of, but I think that it's been fine. I'm happy with it. I have made money, so I'm happy with it. But just those things too. I don't know if it's probably not ideal positioning, but what I'm saying is like if you're stressing out about the positioning thing, just make sure that you don't have maybe like 4 in your area or something. I think it's a little bit more easygoing in a sense. I don't think you're going to be totally screwed is the kind of the point that I'm making. The other thing is antenna. So you can get different antennas. I have not. For instance, you can see here, this one is a 12 dBi antenna. The one that it comes with, the Bobcat comes with, is a 4 dBi antenna. I'm just going to roll with that because I don't really know exactly. There's a whole antenna thing. I was also looking at that too. It's like, should I get a different antenna? You can look into that if you think your earnings could be higher. But that's where I'm at right now, is just with the 4. But that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. And then again, the setup time is very, very quick and simple to get it plugged in and everything and set up. But this whole milestone stuff it just takes a while. Mine took a while to sync to the blockchain. It shows you in the app specifically, and you can also obviously see it on here. Hotspot status literally just means that it's online. I will talk about that though in a second too, because that was a pain. And then all this other stuff is automated, but again, just realize that it does take some time. It took me over 2 days to get my first earning. And I'll bring it up now. We talked about one earlier that was relayed. What relayed means, and there's a decent amount of interesting videos now that I've watched on what relayed means and how to fix it. But I'm going to give you the general thing, because relayed means that it's not connected to the internet. The hotspot is not connected to the internet. It's using like it's like radio frequencying to like another Helium network, and then it's getting on the internet like that or something like that, because there's a problem with your network at your house. So it's not connected via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Is basically it's having trouble connecting to your internet connection. I was like, mine is not connected via Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's having this problem. It's connected via Ethernet. This should be fine. You have to enable a certain port. Just type in online how to fix relayed helium miner. But from my experience, you need to enable port 44159 or 158, I'm sorry, and potentially make the IP address of your hotspot on your internet, on your network static, just so it doesn't change. I don't think I really had that problem. I did that, but I don't think that was the problem. Problem that happened with me, which is important because I think other people might screw this up, is you can run a little diagnostic on your helium miner. You can see it in the app of what the actual IP address of your hotspot is. Okay, so let's say you got a Bobcat, your IP address that it ends in is like 136 or whatever. You have to enable that port 44158 on that specific IP address. I did it where I enabled it on, I renamed it somehow on my network on Verizon is what we have, and then I renamed it and it was like a different IP address for some reason, and it worked for like 2 days. So like it was relayed, and then I fixed it. It worked for 2 days, and then it was relaying. I was like, what the hell happened? And then I went back in and I was like, okay, I'm just making sure that it's on the proper IP. And once I did that, then it was fine. So check that out. Just look online if you have a relayed problem, because you're probably gonna have to enable that port. But other than that, though, should work perfectly after you do that, and then you can start making some money. So once I got rid of all those things, though, once I set everything up, finished those relayed issues, it was perfect. And we've been going good for about, like, I would say 4 or 5 days, no hiccups whatsoever. All of my milestones are completed, and we're just churning out stuff. So now let's get into the actual costs of it and how much that, like, I've personally earned just with one helium hotspot in my area, and just with the situation that we have. Okay, so to talk about earnings and costs and all that, I'm going to switch over to my phone because the app is much better for this and kind of shows a little bit more detail. When you get yours, you'll be able to see, all the same stuff specifically for yours. And also, I think for followed hotspots, I think you can follow other ones that aren't necessarily yours and see that too. I haven't done that, but I think that's a feature. All right, so we are in my wallet, my Helium wallet here. These are directly from the Bobcat. And just for timing again, today is August 19th, Thursday. And the first one that I received actually, I believe looks like it was actually on Wednesday. So it was looks like $1.22 on Wednesday. I think that was actually August 9th or 10th or whatever. So, but the point is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then today's Thursday. So if you're looking at the graph here, you can see that it was relayed, and I believe I fixed the relay issue, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, so you can see that it has started to pick up substantially since then, since I fixed those little bugs. And I think that we're just going to continue to do better there. Total, we've made $38.20. That's what our wallet sits at. I haven't pulled anything out. That's exactly it. And based on the price of helium right now being $20.23, it's almost 2 helium tokens, helium coins that we've amassed from the helium miner. So that's not bad. Let's talk about this again from an investment standpoint. So if you're thinking about getting this, with the current price of $429 plus, I don't know, maybe some exchange stuff, I'm just going to round up to $500 because that's what I got. That's what I got it at. If you spend $500 and you wait a period of time, however long it is, 20 weeks or whatever, and you set it up and you get it going, how quickly will you make your money back? Again, I'm not a psychic, but for me in this path right now, it's going to be relatively quick, especially based on these last days. On Monday, I think I made $11, almost $12 on Monday, not doing anything, just letting it sit there. So that's pretty substantial. And you'll have good days, you'll have bad days, I guess. It's going to vary based on a bunch of different factors. And again, positioning and all that does play into it somewhat. But I'm excited with this. I can't really give you a great analysis of the earnings. All I know that I've made $40 from literally just plugging the thing in and letting it run for the past like 7 to 10 days. Now, What you may be asking yourself, which is a great question, I've got it several times, is we talked about Bitcoin miners, Ethereum miners, and stuff like that earlier, which I don't have extreme experience with, but I know that it's way more power than this thing, because it's like a full, like GPU and a whole, basically a big, supercomputer type thing. How much does this thing cost to run? Right? Maybe it's just a little thing, but is it a power hog? Well, from the Bobcat website specifically, it says 0.12 kilowatt hours per day, which is equivalent to a 5-watt light bulb, is again what they compare it to. And based on some estimates that I got, roughly 14 cents per kilowatt hour in like Pennsylvania, for instance. You can check your thing or your electric bill or whatever. I think that's less than 2 cents per day to run this thing, is what I have gathered. Maybe my math is wrong. Double check me on that. But I'm pretty sure that it's very minimal as far as energy costs. And then if you want to break it down even more, I mean, you need internet anyway. How much is going to steal from the bandwidth? I haven't seen anything there. So as far as actual costs, you have your upfront cost of $500 roughly, and then you have 2 cents per day, which I would call negligible. So if you think that you can get that out of it, based on your research, I would say go ahead for it. Like I said, links and everything like that will be down in the description. But that is what I've made. I've made about almost $40 in the last 10-ish days, with some crappy days in the beginning there, just because it was user error and it was messed up. So I think it's pretty good. I'm really happy with it. That's kind of the recap of my experience with everything, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I want to make more recap videos, just to continue to show how the network's doing, because I think that's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here, and what the and what really is in store for it, because that's also going to affect earnings and stuff like that. There's also the HNT halvening, like where it halves. Like if you've heard of Bitcoin, like the halvening in Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure that's coming up, I thought that was right in August sometime, might be the end of August. Not exactly sure how that works. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects it. I'll try to make more updates as we go, but like I said, I hope this was informative. It was probably kind of long. Apologize for that, but I always want to make sure that I get all the details in there and try to be as informative as possible. So that is my experience. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments or whatever. If you got any value out of this video, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. But yeah, look forward to more stuff in the Helium sphere of things that I'm doing, and all sorts of other stuff if you like this. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.